The Mount Pleasant Panthers are proudly brought to you by Henshaw Trailer Sales of Richland, Iowa, the Packwood Locker, Smithburg Auto of Fairfield, Iowa, and the Cedar Rapids Titans, who you'll be able to see on Round Guy Radio starting February 15th, as they take on the Midwest Monsters. We've got Coach Rawson of the Mount Pleasant Panthers on board, who's had a plethora of wins since the last time I talked to you. Welcome to the program, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having us on again.
Well, you had a nice little win over a very, very improved New London team, and they've kind of been on a tear here lately. You get one last night against Oskaloosa, the number 10 ranked team. I know you got a win against Fairfield, a win against Fort Madison since the last time I talked to you. Seems all you do is win, win, win all the time. Welcome back to the program, Coach.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's we got a good stretch going. Post Christmas, we got two guys back in our lineup that weren't there before Christmas, and that's Noah Lang and Ryan Helling. So they certainly add a different dynamic to our group when they're out there. So it's enjoyable to have them, up and running, and and again, with them in, we still gotta find some of the chemistry and get all cylinders firing. It felt like last night. I mean, we've certainly had stretches where we've been pretty good, and then there's stretches where it's not so great. And we've addressed that, with the team through some film and just talking with them, and they understand that, and they certainly want to win and certainly can. We look at our game against Burlington, certainly some good stretches. We had good looks, and Burlington was just able to stretch it out at the very end of that game. Last night we were at Oski, and they cracked the top 10 in Class 3A recently, and they had a victory over Keokuk and a victory in overtime over Pella. So certainly to get one on the road there was pretty special, and I felt like we were really locked in defensively. And once we adjusted to their transition, they like to push the basketball, and we did a nice job kind of stopping that piece of their attack. In the second quarter, we held them to 7 points. So defensively, it was a good effort by our group.
Yeah, well, I was struggling to find a game that was competitive last night, as it seemed like there was just one blowout after another on my TV there. But then I come across your game, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I want to talk to you about somewhere in that last minute or two of that game. You had a pretty good lead, 7 points, something like that, maybe even 11 or something. And they erased that. And I think with like 36 seconds left, they got it down to 1 point.
Yeah, they're certainly a dangerous team, and they know how to close out games. That's why they're in the top 10. They've been able to do that. They did it against Pella. They erased a deficit, and pushed that thing into overtime. And I didn't watch much of the Keokuk game, but I believe they were down at half. So especially at home, they're a talented group, and they play well together. And I think it might have been an 8-point game with under 2 to go, and certainly there's no lead that's safe until the last second's gone. So it was nice for our group to gut through and hang on and get some stops and definitely get some rebounds. I thought we did a nice job as far as limiting their second chance opportunities.
Well, you guys played really cool, calm, and collected, and you didn't give up, and you kept fighting, and you held that lead off, and I think you stretched it a little bit. I'm sure you weren't comfortable until the whistle blew, but when the whistle did blow, what was your reflections on that moment?
No, it was great just to sit back, and it was an emotional game. You get invested in it, and we had a lot of energy from our group and from the bench, and it was just you just kind of step back and take it in, and they were excited. So it's fun to watch them celebrate a victory like that.
Well, tell me a little bit about a kid I like to call Isaiah Big Bang Lang. I know his big brother's been hurt, and he's back. I think it's his brother, but and you got the other kid back there. But last night, he seemed to really help Sparky to that victory. Tell me a little bit about his game, how many points he had, and what you thought he was doing that was, keeping you in the winner's circle last night.
Yeah, we did some things to get Isaiah to the block and get him the basketball, and we did a nice job doing that. And he capitalized on it. I think he finished with 19 or 20 points. Had a nice first half, and continued on in the second half for us. But he also rebounded the basketball extremely well too. And I don't have stats back on it, but he's got to be fairly close to a double last night. And Noah played really well for us as well. He got in the scoring column early. Especially there in that second quarter of ours, we put up a lot of points, and Noah's a big part of that. So both Langs had a nice evening for us last night.
Well, who else contributed to that win in a big way?
Is coming off the bench, and he gave us some big minutes when he was out there. And again, he did a really nice job. He's a jumper, and he did a nice job on the glass for us, getting some rebounds and being physical, matching the physicality of the game, and was really proud of his efforts.
Yeah. Well, you're kind of over the season here. Who's leading you in scoring and rebounding and assists and that kind of stuff?
Isaiah is right there, double-figure scorer. Aiden Humble, he finished with 8 points for us last night. He hit a couple big threes. And he's kind of in the mix there as far as scoring goes. And Ryan Helling, that's, again, a player that played a lot for us last year as a freshman. And he had he's hampered with a hamstring injury, and he's back in the fold. So I think he had around 7 for us last night, hit 2 threes. One that was certainly big. We hit a couple deep ones last night that just kind of kept them at arm's length away. And it was nice to see those balls go in. And Brody Clark's doing a nice job as far as from a leadership standpoint, and helping run the offense and bring the basketball up. And he's a bigger guard. He's a stronger guard. Handles it okay at times, and certainly is taking on his role, and he's doing a nice job with it.
Well, it seems like a lot of teams have. I'm just going to say somewhere in the area 9 games left. And apparently you're going to do them all in a couple of weeks here. It seems like 5 games, 1 week, 4 games, and that's about. The season takes forever to get to the halfway point because you got 3 weeks off for Christmas and all this other stuff. But boy, once you get to the last third of the season, it just flies by. All these sports just seem like they start and then they're over in a blink of an eye. But where are you at? Tell us where you're at in the conference and overall, and who do you got left on the calendar, and what do you think you could do? How far up do you think you could finish?
Yeah, I mean, I think the ceiling with this group is really high. So, just from a coaching standpoint, we like that. There's certainly room for improvement, and we've seen it from the start of the year to where we are at now. So, we'll continue to focus on us and get better at the things that we do, and be ready for really where it's kind of the second half of the Southeast Conference. We'll have Fort Madison this Friday down there, is always tough. And then next Friday, we'll have Washington at home. And then eventually, Fairfield towards the tail end of the season. That'll close out the conference. Oh, we got Keokuk in there too yet. So, yeah, we'll play those conference schools again, second time around. And yeah, it should be exciting.
Have you already played Rawson twice?
No, we've played them once. We played them up there right before break. Competitive basketball game, and they made some moves and some plays there towards the end that sealed the victory for them. But certainly looking forward to hosting them. We'll have them at home.
Well, if you could get that win, it looks like to me you could finish as high as third. Washington looked like they were, them and Burlington were going to battle it out for second, but Burlington seems to have stepped in front of them, and they might slip down a little further where you guys can catch them. Would that be mathematically possible?
Yeah, certainly if we can finish in the top half of the conference, that'd be great. Again, from where we were at the beginning of the year to where we are now. So, that's certainly something that we want to look forward to, and hopefully we can be fortunate enough to get a couple more victories and look at the postseason and how you're going to get seeded there. So you certainly want to grab some W's while you can.
Well, it seems like to me, you're you've been made up a lot of ground. Let's put it that way. You just made up a lot of ground in a short order. I just, once it just seems like to me, once you get one win, then they just kind of multiply from there on. Just it gets you the confidence going. And really, the only thing to me that matters in the whole season is what you do right down the stretch. How you're playing at the end of the season is, because you'll roll into the playoffs, and if you're playing really good, then you'll be really dangerous. And it's it looks like you're getting healthy, and you're getting right, and you're getting your shots oiled up, and you knocked down a giant last night, and I'm hoping that you guys can continue that. So who do you play this week coming up?
So this week we'll have Fort Madison at home, or excuse me, at their place on Friday. So they're and they're a little bit different too from that first week of basketball when we played them that first week, and they've got the Foy kids back, and so that gives them some size in the middle, and it takes up the basket in the lane, and they're always tough down in Fort Madison. So.
Yeah, that Houndown's a tough place to go, and they got to win there, and they're trying to build some momentum, and I know they're going to give you their best. And that Noah Guzman, he's a heck of a player. He seemed like the kind of kid that could be all by himself.
Oh yeah, he's a guard that I think he put up 20 against us at our place the first go around. So certainly a kid that we've got to be mindful about, know where he's at and locate at all times.
All right. Well, Coach, I don't got any more questions for you. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to talk about?
No, it's appreciate the support from everybody up to this point, and I think we can continue to generate some excitement, and hopefully we can get another one here come Friday.
Well, I appreciate when you come on because you get such good ratings. You got a Mount Pleasant fans are really excited about this year, and it's all starting to come together. Thanks for taking some time out to be with us today, Coach.
All right, man. Thanks.